All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State, powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We are here with Natalie Farrell and Lou Panico. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
I hope I win the lottery.
Yeah, me
Don't
too.
we all?
I don't know if I can actually technically win it because they're already paying me. I don't know if that's like a thing.
Oh.
Yeah, so I
Never
guess in
even
a
really thought of
sense,
that.
I technically did win the lottery
There
by
you go.
bringing them on as a sponsor. But
There you go.
we love them. They're awesome. So shout out Lottery and keep the support coming.
Yeah.
Love
Making
it.
people rich.
Yeah.
We like that.
Just make us rich now, and we're
Exactly.
good.
They do pay out. Here's another plug for the lottery. They do pay out over $2 billion worth of prizes per year. That's like a fun thing that people don't always know.
I don't even need that much. I'll take a quarter of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a
He says
fraction.
that now.
10%. Yeah. But after taxes, it's only like 5%.
Exactly.
You gotta think about that.
You mean we have to pay taxes?
Yes.
My name is not Lou Panic. I was just kidding.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me into your home.
Yes.
This is cool.
This is our lovely little
Yeah.
mantra-esque
Nook.
nook.
Look. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I love the art. I love the tattoo art over there.
Yes.
That's cool. Yeah. it's
Yeah,
great.
we used to have a lot more on the walls, and then I had to tell Lou we gotta retract a little bit, make it
Yeah.
a little more simplistic, but also keep the animation around the room going.
vibe.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I am not a minimalist.
Yeah,
Not at
neither
all.
am I. I am the opposite. Like my office is like there's literally stuff on every wall. Like I got that picture of us at the end of Jersey Fest blown up into like a
Yes.
24 by 36, and that's hanging like right over my desk. 'Cause
That
it's
looked
like
awesome.
one of the greatest moments of my life. But
great.
It was a great
yeah,
night.
yeah, you
Yes.
opened Jersey Fest. Like let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
We'll talk more about you in a minute, but
For sure.
let's talk about how awesome of a job I did with Jersey Fest.
Oh my
did an
God!
amazing job.
Slay, slay
You are not
in the
chasing the
game.
hug
And at all. But you guys were awesome and like kicked it off
Thank
so
you.
perfectly. I remember like when I was introducing you, I did not give you a good intro only because
I didn't notice
realize
that.
there was a second door behind me on the left, so I kept looking to my right and being like, where the fuck are they? And then was like, Natalie Farrell? And then you guys came from the other side, and I was like, oh, thank God, they were ready.
Yeah, I think we were coming from like both
Yeah, like
sides.
every
Yeah.
angle.
Yep.
You know, like Josh was coming down from upstairs. You know, like everybody's coming from everywhere. But
The plan was like get on stage and then like do like a special entrance for
yeah,
Natalie.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which was cool. So talk to me about that and how great it was.
Oh man, it was amazing. I mean, I've been telling everybody, and the band and I talked about it too. Like that was probably my favorite show I've ever performed in all my years of performing, and I've been doing it for 8.5, 9 years now.
Yeah.
And it was
It was better than Bamboozle?
Wah, wah, wah. We won Bamboozle, and then it never happened.
Oh,
I don't
great.
know if you heard
Yeah,
about
it was
that,
awesome
but
time.
I don't know about that.
Great show.
yeah, great time.
Yeah,
Anyway,
my show happened.
yes, exactly.
We did that.
We did that. No,
Yeah.
it was absolutely amazing. I think it's important to me when I get on stage to feel that kind of like euphoria, and that's just not with the band on stage. It's like the atmosphere and the crowd and the lighting and hearing yourself on stage. Like everything was like a 10 out of 10 across the board. So like as an artist, this was like, wow, I wish I could play every show like this, to be
Yeah, yeah.
honest. And we were really, really grateful for you guys to take care of us and like the green rooms and everything. It was
Yeah,
just
that
a
was cool.
nice kind of.
I've never done anything like that, and I've never been like backstage at a concert or anything like that. And
Really?
then just to like do that while we were actually like putting on the show was
Yeah.
also kind of cool.
Loved it.
But also I was just a mess. Like I was like sweating
I
profusely,
don't blame you.
running around like crazy. But
I get it.
But you guys made it so great. Like that's the thing. Like I remember I went to a networking thing 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy that was there that I know was. He was like, Mike, he's like, I got to tell you how proud I am. He's like, I thought that the bands were going to be kind of like bar bands and just, like covers or whatever. And I was like, nope, we brought in like 5 legit bands that can play pretty much anywhere, like all that kind of stuff. And he was like, I was amazed. And just like having you as a part of that. And I think I told you the story like at the after party. So at that point, Mike was a little bit down the tracks. But
I don't blame you. I don't know if I remember half of that part of the night, so it's okay.
We had a very fun ride home.
Yeah, us too. Yeah, but like we like forgot stuff. Somebody left their guitar at the bar.
Yep.
The bassist for Surfing for Days, he left his guitar there, so I took it to Bloomfield because I didn't know whose it was.
No, you did the right thing.
Yeah, of course, but I remember I think I told you that when we were like putting together the lineup, and I had a couple like that are bands that we've seen a ton that we just like wanted to have a part of it, and then I had never seen you guys live. But Chrissy was like, what about that Bad Bitch song that we play in the car? And I was like, oh, yeah, like I'll ask Natalie. And so we had never talked before, never like, whatever. And then just reached out and then
it worked out amazingly. It really did. And I'm glad you asked us to perform because it was, again, it was a great show. It was something that the band and I still talk about till this day. And hopefully later down the line, after a couple of Jersey Fests, we'll be back on your stage.
Yeah, for sure.
And rocking it again.
Yeah, we'll work on so many things that Jersey Fest is like one piece of a lot of
the big picture.
Things.
For sure.
It sounded great in that room, too.
It really did.
That's what everyone said.
It was so
It was
good.
my first time there. I think you're too, right?
Yeah, it was my first time there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Having it be the show we were playing was awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
But just being kind of upstairs in the balcony, like looking down, like listening and watching the other bands, even sound checking, I was like, this room is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when we were
it
doing
was-
the sound checks, I was like, holy shit.
It was
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was the first time I was on stage, and it's like some venues, like especially as like the vocalist, you tend to feel like you have to try to overpower your own band sometimes. And it's just the sound, like the sound system in any type of venue. But this was like effortless. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I could literally whisper, and like the whole room would just be like, we hear you.
I knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, no, they do a great job. So shout out White Eagle Hall.
Yes.
It used to be a basketball gym, which is hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Was
where
it a
I didn't know
church
that.
too?
well, it was part of St. Anthony's, it was a school, and it was a high school. Like their basketball team, they practiced it in what is now White Eagle Hall, and actually where the restaurant we were down in at Cellar was their locker rooms, like way back in the day. And the school, like the basketball team won. It's like the Bob Hurley is like the most successful high school basketball coach of all time.
I went to one of his basketball camps when I was a kid.
Oh, really? Yeah. So he won like 30-something state championships and multiple national championships in high school
was the coach
basketball.
there, or
he was the
played
coach.
there?
He was the coach there.
Wow. I had no idea.
For all of that, and then the school closed, and then eventually, it is what it is now. But I just like love like the stained glass windows and the bar and everything. But
It's amazing.
yeah. So
Have you seen the photo of me and like my dad? I'm holding my basketball. I think it's framed like in like the bedroom or something. Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, that was the Bob Hurley camp. So fun fact.
wow.
Fun
Full circle.
fact.
Full
Full
circle of
circle.
life.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about you finally.
Okay.
Are you guys born and raised Jersey? Like, are you from Jersey originally?
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York,
Okay.
but I moved to Jersey pretty early, so I kind of consider myself like a Jersey native at this
Sure.
point.
The rest of her band is from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yes, the rest of my band is from New Jersey. Yeah, I mean, I moved to Jersey when I was about 7 or 8. I did go back to Brooklyn like every weekend, like every typical New Yorker family would, until I was maybe about 15, 16. But yeah, I moved from Bensonhurst to actually Old Bridge, New Jersey. And then maybe almost 8 years ago now, I've been living in the Asbury scene ever since. So.
Yeah, that's cool. And so was music always a thing that was part of your guys' lives? Like growing up, like that's something I always ask musicians is like, parents playing music in the house, or was there like a moment in, so I remember someone told me like in the car, they were just singing and everyone was like, oh my God, you should be a singer. Now they are like one of those kind of, cheesy stories, but
For sure.
That's just something I'm always kind of curious about. Like when did you know that you
Definitely
could do music? 'Cause not everyone can.
Yeah, no, that's true. You want to go first?
Sure. So my parents were not musicians,
Okay.
but they're like musician historians. Like my dad knows everything about rock and roll history. I grew up as 70s, like literally knows everything about any classic rock band or artist ever.
Yeah.
Who they played with on this album, where they went, who they were on tour with, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he loved rock and roll, and my mom loved like disco and like loved the Beach Boys, like You know, and like I guess pop, like she was a big Beatles fan. You know, pop was a little different then, but so I was when I grew up, it was just, you know, we never really took airplanes to go on vacation. We drove everywhere.
So playlist after playlist.
Tapes,
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean? Just listening to the best of the Beach Boys, the best of Billy Joel, the Beatles, and then, you know, like Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
So I was raised on all of that, and it was just kind of embedded in my brain as a little kid. One of the first VHS tapes, because that's how old I am. One of those first VHS tapes that I remember as a kid watching in my family's house was "Stop Making Sense," Talking Heads, like their movie / you know, music video. Their whole concert, and I would literally like set up the Fisher Price table and like take my mom's like pots and pans and like play drums to the whole concert, and I would watch the concert on the VHS tape.
That's cool.
So I feel like I was kind of always doing it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like once my parents realized that, like, oh, like he's really into this, you know, I started taking like guitar lessons, music lessons, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
And I remember singing in like choir and like grammar school, and my music teacher being like, hey, can you come like after school? Like, can I record you on a tape like for an audition and like send it out to some places? And my parents were like, yeah, sure. So I literally record like vocal warm-ups. It was like la 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 as like a kid in grammar school.
Yeah, of course, I know.
And I guess he sent it out. He was like acting like my manager.
Yeah.
My music teacher. And I guess the New Jersey State Choir. Like I got into that. I got into all these other choirs that like the state was doing. And
choir
started.
You give off that vibe.
And then
You did theater too, right?
yeah, the theater, musicals, all that
He was
stuff.
a theater boy.
So, yeah,
Theater boy, choir boy, the whole deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
100%.
And I remember listening to the radio being like, I can do what these people are doing.
Yeah.
You know, when it came to singing and dancing on stage and all that stuff, I was like, I could do this. You know, so I started doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your turn.
I guess my lifestyle was pretty similar to Lou's. My parents were not musicians. They were also music enthusiasts. My dad loved like Led Zeppelin, diehard fan of Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, all that kind of stuff. And my mom was into the Motown, disco, the Marvelettes, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I mean, I originally started as a dancer when I was a child. I loved dancing. I loved doing everything dancing wise. And I would dance to like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Mariah Carey, and all these other things. And much like Lou, when there were VHS tapes, I watched the movie.
VHS tape.
Yeah, right. I watched the movie Selena, and it took my life to a whole new level, because it's just like seeing the performance aspect and performing in front of an audience and seeing how big of a crowd you could perform in front of. It kind of triggered me to be like, well, I want to do that.
It's also what J-Lo does to you as well.
Yes, of course. Man, you made me lose my train of thought.
Selena.
You saw the movie Selena.
Yes.
Yeah.
So originally I was like, I want to become a dancer and I want to do that. I want to perform, blah, blah, blah. But then I started like singing here and there, and I just kind of became more obsessed with music in a different perspective.
Yeah.
And it turned more into singing at that point. So I kept telling my parents
Tell the
that...
story about the talent show.
Which talent show?
Right, wasn't the story where like your mom didn't even think it was you singing? I was like, who is it?
That wasn't even a talent show. Well, I'm getting there. Thank you.
Sorry.
We're telling the whole
Still in the
trajectory of
Yeah.
the story.
He's good at that. He likes jumping ahead. He gets excited. It's okay. I continued to sing. I continued to think like, I'm going to be this big, famous, the next Britney Spears. Like little me was like, I can be it all. It is what it is. And then when I was about 7 years old, I was just like singing in my room or whatever, hanging out with like maybe another friend. And my friend's mom went to come pick her up, and my mom was like, I didn't know your daughter sang. Like, she has such a beautiful voice, and like, oh my God, you should put her into, you know, talent shows and all these things. And after they left, I told my mom that like that was me singing and not my friend. And she was like, no, it wasn't. She just wasn't convinced at first. And then I started singing around the house more to try to prove a point. And before I knew it, they put me in like church talent shows at school. I started taking singing lessons, and the rest kind of went from there. I think by like age 13, I was in like my first band. And it was a bunch of like older 16-year-old dudes, and they eventually kicked me out of the band, and they were just like, yeah, sons of bitches. Well, funny enough, I ended up marrying into one of the guy's families, and he came up to me one day and said, we should never kicked you out of the band. Yeah. So it came full circle. I'm very, very grateful for that. But because of that, I picked up the guitar and I started writing my own songs. I started playing more and all that stuff. And by high school, I was in like 4 different choir ensembles. And I went to college for music for a little bit. And yeah, now here I am. I kind of just threw myself out there, and I've been performing ever since. Yeah.
So what you're saying is we're a bunch of choir nerds.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But this is what happens when you're a choir nerd. So to all the choir, I don't even want to say choir nerds, to the choir badasses, the theater kids, every single person, they're going to take over the world, and they're going to rock your world. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Totally. One of our good friends who played drums in his church band was is now a fairly successful touring drummer,
Amazing.
But just like coming from church.
They got the chops.
Yeah. Because, that's regimented there in church.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Catholic high school. Like, and you got to...
Yes. Oh, so did you?
I didn't play any music, but...
You're drumming for Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so...
All right.
Yeah, so we... Moving on. You mentioned it, and we'll kind of get there because we're getting actually close to where we'll take our break. Mm-hmm. Marrying into a band that has one of the guys that kicked you out, so shout out that guy again. He'll never be on the show. But how'd you guys meet? And then the courtship, and now here we are, however many years later, and talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So I used to work at a music store, and
like selling CDs and stuff, like a FYE kind of store?
Like a retail music store.
Okay. Musical instruments, music. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I was selling guitars for the earlier part, and then eventually I went into the lessons department, and I became a lessons manager. I started hosting like offsite events and doing all these cool things, which later I took with me for my own kind of shows and created like big events for certain shows that we've done in the past. So it was really beneficial. But besides that, I guess word got around because it was a very male-dominated company, that I was one of the managers in the district, and I was on a lot of the calls and all that stuff. Somebody plucked me out of the...
Somebody else happened to work for the same company.
Oh, that's so weird. Yeah. They always tell you don't get involved with people that you work with.
Exactly.
I was told not to dip my pen and company ink, and I did it anyway.
And he loved every second of it.
Yeah. Everyone says you shouldn't, but...
Wow. Well, needless to say...
it worked out.
Yeah.
He definitely... He tried for quite a few times, and sure. At the time I was like, I'm doing my own thing.
Like it's not me.
Yeah.
Just other guy. He tried really hard.
Yeah.
Some guy.
He kept asking me out on a date. I kept saying no. I was like, your mohawk is stupid.
Yeah.
I may or may not have said that. I don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah. No. When I met you, you did not have a mohawk. He had very, very long beard.
Unlike somebody else that may or may not be sitting here.
Yeah. No hair.
Very, very, very long beard.
Yeah.
We eventually clicked, and I already had formed my band, or I was working with my guitar player at this point for maybe 2.5 years. And we had like bass players and drummers kind of come in and cycle out. We had like a number of like friends in the local scene that would come and play with me, but it was never set in stone. And then when we started dating, he became my bass player. And fast forward, 8 years later, we're still here, and he's still my bass player, and now my husband. So
look at that. I won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Persistence. The key to that story is persistence is key.
Really. Like how to just say yes for the date, say yes for being in our band, say yes to getting married,
Yeah.
Persistence is key.
Persistence is key.
We love it. All right, so we're going to get more into the music stuff and kind of how the career path has kind of gone and what you play and all that in our second segment. So we'll take our break.
Cool.
We'll take our pee break. So this is the Greens with Garza podcast powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I'm Mike Ham. We're here with Lou Panico and Natalie Farrell. We'll be right back.
The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. MPAC presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see MPAC's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about the crew over at Make Cool Shit. These are the magicians who recently gave our podcast a jaw-dropping makeover. You know how we roll here at Greetings from the Garden State podcast, right? We're all about that Garden State attitude. Well, Make Cool Shit shares that same vibe, and they've got something absolutely epic to offer. It's called the Unlimited Cool Shit Design Subscription. It's a game changer, my friends. Imagine this, unlimited creativity, one flat monthly fee, and none of that boring stuff. It's like having your very own army of design superheroes on speed dial. Whether you're a fresh rate startup or a seasoned business looking to shake things up, the team at Make Cool Shit has got your back. It's all about making your brand sizzle, no matter where you are in your journey. So if you're ready to turn your ideas into mind-blowing realities, then it's time to connect with Make Cool Shit. Check them out on Instagram at WeMakeCoolShit or visit their website, WeMakeCoolShit.co. Remember, that's co, not com. All right, we're back for segment 2 of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Ham, or Greetings from the Garden State, powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I can't believe I forgot to say that. My bad. I'm Mike Ham. We're here with Natalie Farrell and Lou Panico. So first segment, we learned a little bit about how awesome Jersey Fest was, and we, again, thank you for opening that for us. We learned about kind of like the background and a little, how you guys met, all that kind of stuff. But I do want to kind of get into like kind of picking up the story where you started like writing more music, where you started, performing more and kind of making that like a more serious part of your life. Because I feel like a lot of times people have like a creative thing. Mm-hmm. It kind of like stays a hobby, never really kind of gets to a point where it realizes its full potential, so to speak.
For sure.
So talk to me about like was there like a moment at any point where you were like, oh, I could like make a couple bucks, like do this for real.
Yeah.
And like kind of push it a little bit further than just, like singing with your friend and in the bedroom and your mom doesn't even know that it's you kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. No, there was, it was maybe back in 2013, 2014, I was already doing like open mics and all this other stuff. And I was playing out in Trenton actually at this place called The Social. And I was playing with a colleague of mine from my old job, and we were asked to then set up a residency at that place. So I said, oh, this is great. This is awesome. Let's do it. But it was all like cover gigs, cover show kind of thing. So I wasn't really singing my music. But all while that was going down, I was, obviously writing my own kind of stuff on the side and playing guitar and just kind of, I guess, prepping without even knowing for what was yet to come.
Yeah.
And then fast forward maybe like a year later, I came out to the Asbury Park scene or like the Highlands and then kind of worked my way down the shore.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at the Chubby Pickle in Highlands and they were doing an open mic night and I bumped into...
They still do, so go to the Chubby Pickle.
Yes.
Check out their open mic night.
They still do open mics for sure. I bumped into this gentleman and he very extroverted, very manic in a way, but in a very fun way. And he said, can you sing? Can you improv if I start playing? And I was like, sure. And we just improv'd some bluesy, but like very like nice breath of fresh air kind of music. And
so you were just like singing randomly.
Yeah, it was just like anything that kind of, it was like impromptu, like very like old school jazz club. You show up and you just kind of do whatever. And it was awesome. It was a great time. And because of that, what we actually improv'd became my debut single, Exhale. And the gentleman I met is now my guitar player.
Oh, cool.
And shout out to Fernie.
Yeah. Fern was so funny at Jersey Fest.
He's great.
But we can talk about that.
He's definitely
nothing bad.
Nope,
it was just like, it's not part of the story for this episode.
No, it makes sense. But yeah, him and I started writing music together. We were doing like a duo thing for a little while. And then he introduced me to a shit ton of musicians out here in the Asbury Park music scene, and I just started networking with them, and it was a very welcoming community, and everybody wanted to like play music with each other. He got me on a couple of gigs at like the Stone Pony and Wonder Bar and a couple of venues off of the boardwalk in Asbury Park, and we just started writing music and playing more shows. And before we knew it, we had, as I mentioned before, like a rotation of band members who would play with us. And then Lou joined the band, kept writing with Lou and Fern, and it just kept climbing up a ladder at a certain point. And it got to a point where,
and correct me if I'm wrong, when Lou joined the band, it went from like here to like there.
Yeah, the ladder just kept getting higher, kind of thing.
just kept getting higher. Yeah, sure.
You played PNC Arts Center, right?
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, so it got to a level where I was lucky enough to open up for Sammy Hagar from Van Halen and George Thorogood at PNC. And I've played the Stone Pony several times already, which is really awesome. And
is that weird? Because like, I feel like that's a place that has like almost like a pinch me
history
moment factor.
Yeah.
But also like, I feel like a lot of people that I know that are in that Asbury Park music scene are just like, yeah, like I'm playing the Pony on Wednesday. Like
it's funny because
does it like almost like lose its, or does it?
It felt
its luster.
Yeah, it's weird. It did feel more exciting when we did it the first few times than now, but it's still, every time you get on that stage, a moment where you think there's so much history on this stage. There's so many amazing, legendary musicians who played on this stage. So it doesn't go unnoticed every time I do get on that stage. Yeah. But after a certain amount of time, there is that like, oh, I gotta play the Stone Pony.
You just become more comfortable, I guess,
exactly.
I will say that anybody that says that playing the Stone Pony is no big deal, and they're like, oh yeah, of course, playing the Pony on Wednesday, they're full of shit.
Yeah,
they're like,
I don't know if it's like that. I think it's just like more like
it's definitely
a sense of like those venues. Like
yeah,
they need people. They need people to play.
Yeah,
so like they need to book.
You can get jaded, but I feel like anybody. Or at least the people that I know that are in their scene and our friends and stuff that do get to play the Stone Pony and whatnot, I don't think that's lost on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, exactly what I said. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Like there's always that factor there every time we perform, and our friends that perform there. But yeah, I mean, we just continued to grow, and then back in 2019, our drummer Joshua actually found us, and he reached out to me and said if you ever need a drummer, and we were in desperate need of a drummer at that time.
Because we were on that band You Need to Know from NewJersey.com.
From NJ.com. Yeah, he found
like some big thing that was posted.
Yeah,
he
and we were one of
found
the
an
bands
article.
that you needed to hear, like new bands.
Of course.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that we found him, because he added that last piece that made us what I like to call us the dream team. And I say that all the time. Like, we are the dream team. We play so well together. We're like family at this point. It's like, I can't picture myself playing with anybody else, really. And I think now that we have that last piece, and we still have plans, we still have a lot to do, and I never say never, but I think at this moment we're now like, okay, well, what's next? Like, we just released an EP last year, which was really, really awesome. It was the Mantra EP. That was my second EP that I released.
The Bad Bitch song.
Yeah, the Bad Bitch song. So I'm kind of letting that ride for a little bit, because I feel like, oh, you're good. It gets stuck all the time. I want to let that ride a little bit, because I feel like that was a new element for us to tap into. It was more in a pop realm, and it kind of opened doors for what's to come next. So now I'm kind of want to take everything that we've gotten from our discography and see what we could create if we mush all of that together. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would love to still, I've never gone on tour. I know he has. I know my other band members have. I'm the only one who's never gone on tour. So there's that, that we would love to eventually jump into. If not this year, hopefully next year, and see where it takes us.
If you need a band to go on tour with you, Natalie Farrell is the band.
Yeah, that's the band.
He's my hype man. He's my manager. So he's just
here's my cut.
That's where you're newly titled now.
You got
I married. Yeah, you never married in. No, you never. Yeah.
You become a cheap bassist at that point.
Exactly.
But
your money's my money.
Yeah,
breaking all the rules here.
I'm gonna give Josh a shout out too, because you guys were doing sound checks last, and he showed up before even me.
Mm-hmm.
Not me. I got there like noon. but when we got back to the venue finally, but all the other bands he beat there.
Yeah.
And then let everybody use his drums the whole night, which was
He's
really
good like
cool.
that.
And
You know who just played Bonnaroo?
did he really?
He played
Yeah.
Bonnaroo and then literally played the Wonder Bar yesterday.
With Jared
It
Clemens.
was the day after.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he hustles. He does music full time.
Yeah.
So if anything, I look up to him as far as like what he's doing now. It's gigs every day, and I could see how tired he gets sometimes.
Sure.
But he never stops loving it, and he never
He hasn't
puts on
complained.
less
He's
than
never complained.
100%. It's always 100 or more.
And then I'm going to play the
Yeah.
Wonder
Yeah.
Bar in Asbury the next day. We're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he
like-
blows
it's like,
my
yeah.
mind. And we have me and him have the same birthday too. I love to point that out because I'm a big like astrologer kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, there's so much. I hope I become you in the next few years because he really does. He inspires me in so many ways.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So shout out Josh. That was awesome and a huge help for everybody, really. But so I am interested also because you talked about how like you meet Fern at the Chubby Pickle and you do like this kind of riffing, bluesy, jazz, whatever. And then you said the Mantra EP was more like poppy. Like talk to me about the evolution of the music and kind of, was that the path that you almost saw you wanted to go down, like a pop vibe, or was it something that kind of just popped out?
Yeah. I think when we first started writing, it was both me and Fern. So there was a lot of Fern's influence in the songwriting process, which gave it
to
that.
a lot of Foes of Fern also, just as like
Yes.
a quick aside. Yeah.
I mean, Foes of Fern is a great
said I'm
band.
sorry, but then I was like, no, the album's great.
Yeah.
It
songs are
is.
great.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
I
I
can't
mean,
even
his
joke on
songs,
him.
his songs get stuck in my head randomly at any given day, and I'm like, there you go, Fern.
You know,
but
I'm out.
I also
you know
wanna
I'm
be the
out late
ocean.
most nights. Whatever that song is, I just like I love that intro for that song.
his bike song is my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we did a lot of the writing together in the beginning, and I think it gave that flair of that kind of. It was like a little bit of pop, but it was also, what do I call it? It was a little bit of blues. It was a little bit of soul. That's what I was looking for, and that really kind of molded itself together because of being Fern. But then it kind of.
So Fern's a Berkeley graduate, you know, so he very much knows what he's doing.
Yes.
And he very much has to make sure that he doesn't get bored.
Right.
So I feel like the music that was written early on was, more intricate chord progressions,
Yeah.
more intricate melodies, because he was like, like this is what
Scratching
I do.
some itches.
This is like makes
Yeah,
me
yeah.
feel good. And
Right.
he wrote chord progressions that made him feel like, okay, I went to Berkeley, I can do these progressions that some people can't.
He
So
nailed
let's write
it.
a song like this.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we did a lot of that, and then I don't know. I think we did a couple of like really cool rock songs. Like Mr. Officer was a fun time.
Oh, listen to that on the way down, actually.
Yeah.
Levy Oaken.
Yeah. Levy Oaken was playing guitar on that song. He actually co-wrote that song with me, which was really cool. And yeah, I just kind of started exploring songwriting with other people.
'Cause that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
It's networking.
Collaborating,
You
yeah.
meet people, and they're like, "Oh, I want to write a song with you. I want to produce a record for you." And you just meet people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
anything else. You have to be ready for the opportunity always, right? But you also have to meet. You have to what?
No, you're good.
You also have to network and meet people.
Yeah.
And those people want to be involved and create art with you, and that's when things start molding and changing.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think also just like you mentioned, kind of getting into the Asbury music scene,
Yeah.
like in Jersey, like that's it. Like that's the one, you
Yep.
know? I mean, there are others that exist, but they're like, the Asbury music scene is what it is. And I think,
I guess I never really thought of it like that, actually.
yeah. I mean, if you start looking around the state, I mean, obviously like there's pockets and different things that people do and whatever. And, but like when we were going through like the list of all the bands that I know for Jersey Fest, it was like, all right, I saw them in Asbury. I saw them in Asbury. I saw them in Asbury. And just like going all the way down the list. And I'm like, oh my God, these are all.
So that's where all the music venues are.
Exactly. That's where all the music venues are. And that's where like a lot of them live, And I think that's like a really interesting thing because it almost becomes like you're talking about like this incubator of just like thought and kind of, I don't even know so much if it's like pushing each other to do more, but just kind of like when you're around, if you're a creative person and you're around other creative people, it just like helps you vibrate at that level. That just like helps you do more.
Exactly. And the more you do it, the more new ideas come about, obviously,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
and the band, we all agreed on that too. I mean, my band members play in other bands. So when I said, hey, I'm going to explore and do some songwriting elsewhere and bring it back to the band, they were fully in support of it, and they really enjoyed it. And when I did the Mantra EP, I actually worked with my producer, Russell Hayden, who is now in California. So good for you, man. But yeah, we ended up working on that EP together and then brought it back to the band. And some of it was just all pop, and it was all released like that. And other songs, we had the band come in and do some stuff. But what I liked about it was that it was the first group of songs that we were able to take as pop music that didn't have any sort of instrumentation on it, and then talk about how can we perform this live and make this as unique as possible. So when people listen to it and then somebody comes and sees us live, they go, wow, you have to see them live, because it's like, it's great on Spotify or iTunes or whatever. But when you see them live, they change it up every time. They make it interesting. They make it like the experience so much more unique, and the song is more unique for that factor.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's something too, like when we were kind of putting that list together, like I didn't, you know, like obviously the Mantra EP, like you said, is very poppy.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that the vibe that I want? Because like obviously, like we went down a rabbit hole, like all different kind of genres at Jersey Fest. But then I started like not just staying on, you know, like streaming platforms. Like I went into YouTube and was looking for like live performances just to see like how that translates to a stage, like how it sounds and like what the vibe is. And it was
did
like,
your homework.
I did my homework because like, you know, it was important. You know, the 5 bands that played that show were really going to set the tone for everything that we were going to do.
Yeah.
And obviously like you guys coming out first sets the tone for the whole night. You know, like if you guys sucked, the night, you know, would still have been fine, but you know, it wouldn't have been harder to kind of pull it back from the depths.
No,
but
I
you
get
guys
it.
came out murdered, and like literally everyone crushed. Like that was the best thing about it.
And it's always like, too, like put your best foot forward, and like then the next band has to follow us up.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And somebody could take that as like pressure, but like I'm talking about it in the best way ever.
Yeah.
It's like you set the tone, we killed it. Okay, band number 2, you gotta fucking top that.
Yeah, right,
Band
exactly.
number
And
three,
then top that.
band before
Exactly.
top that.
Like people coming backstage and like everyone's, you know, going crazy and like excited and everyone's excited, and it just kind of like all right, now you got 10 minutes to, you know.
We like rallied each other
together.
up in that sense. Yeah.
Totally.
Agreed.
All right. So what's next? Like what's coming down the road? Like, do you have, like when you're doing a career like this, I guess is the best way to say it. Do you have like goals or things that you want to, like, I want to do this by next year? I mean, obviously maybe like put out new music and all that kind of stuff, but are there things that you're hoping to kind of get to a point where you're doing this full time, or you're doing this, like whatever the case may be? Like talk to me about what's next for Natalie Farrell.
Yeah, definitely. I think right now, I think right at this second we're all doing life. We like took like a quick breather, nothing super long or like, hey, we're done. Like it's not that. I think just life got in the way lately of change and stuff, and we're just like, okay, let's take a deep breath and just kind of sit back for a little bit. We still would like to get in more shows this year, absolutely, for sure. I think the performance aspect of being an artist for me personally is like it's what makes me do what I do. Yeah, and I think I'm also trying to look for my next niche, because I'm the type of artist where it's like I can't be defined by one genre. It's impossible for me. It's there's a reason why so many press is like, well, she does new disco, and then she's rock, and then she's pop, and then she's soul. It's like I'm always looking for the next kind of option of what is going to inspire me next. And right now I'm like getting back into my Paramore era of like listening to them and just also incorporating new pop music and stuff. So I think I'm
the cat out of the bag.
Well, you know,
there's a lot more.
If people have made it to
Lou.
this point in the episode, like they deserve to get a
that's
little.
Yeah,
a little nugget,
I
you
agree.
know?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, so I think right now it's going back into the studio and figuring out what is the next sound.
Yeah.
And then going in and writing the music, getting back out for some shows, hopefully some festivals next year, and then hopefully go on tour. That's definitely the next game plan. And I'm hoping that at that point I will be working full time as a musician, I could quit my day job.
Sure.
What Natalie's saying is she just wants to headbang.
Yeah.
I just want to headbang,
That'd
yeah,
be dope.
I
in
would-
front of
Let's go
a
for hot
huge
there for
crowd.
that.
Yeah,
But if you come out with like an entirely new genre of music, or like the new genre of music that you release,
Yeah.
like, boom.
well, that's the
New-
beauty of it. Right? I mean,
new book for
Beyonce,
next, you know,
did
yeah,
Cowboy
country
Carter,
album. That's
so it's
crazy.
like
Yeah.
anything is possible these days, and that's what I love about music today is that you could do whatever you want without somebody saying, "Well, like that's you, that's your
Yeah.
genre, you got to stick to that." It's like I'm not sticking to that.
Put me in a box.
All like it's the same thing with my outfits. Like I could go super crazy one day and not the next. Like I could do whatever the hell I want. So
Yeah.
like
It could be pork roll and Taylor ham
no
together.
What are you guys falling on pork roll on that? Is that
pork roll.
So I used to live.
Oh, now he's
near
going back on
you.
his word. He says pork roll.
No, I'm not going back on my word. I was raised on Taylor ham.
as was I?
I moved here, and I learned two things very quickly.
Yeah.
First thing was,
Do not mess with Bruce.
yep, you have to love Bruce Springsteen.
Of course.
Do not say anything bad about Bruce
Yeah.
Springsteen.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
You have something to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're shunned for life.
Totally.
It's like don't even look.
Yeah.
In
So
this
yeah,
direction.
that's the first thing I learned. Bruce is God, and the second thing I learned was it is no longer Taylor ham. It is
pork roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we travel a lot for the show, so I have to be adaptable. And we have a lot of friends in a lot of parts of the state. I mean, Johnny Porkroll literally drove the truck up. So, and he says pork roll.
And it's
pork
fantastic,
roll.
by the way. He
Yeah.
makes a fantastic
Ah,
sandwich.
and he is such a character and such like a I loved all the the B-roll footage that we got of him in the truck working and
Love it.
It just he's amazing. So shout out Johnny.
Yes.
Is there you talk about playing live, which I really like. That's live music to me is like a next level kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And excuse me, I think I just burped into the microphone.
it's not my microphone.
Yeah, sorry.
I offered the pint glass.
If people are listening in their headphones, my bad. But are there like a dream venue you would want to play? Like, do you ever think about that? Like, oh, it would be so cool to play here, or go to a show and be like, wow, this place is awesome. It could be in the state or not in the state, but I feel like at this point, a lot of the places in the state that people would want to play,
Yeah,
you guys have played.
You had the opportunity to cross a lot of the places off your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious one would probably be MSG, but
Sure.
I don't even think that as first hand kind of what is it? It's more of I just want to travel everywhere, not even in the US, and perform to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Walk out on stage and just see a sea of people for miles and miles and miles. Like Coachella stages and
Yeah.
Governor's Ball and all that kind of stuff. That I think is that is the top of what I want to do with my music career.
Yeah.
It's not I mean, I'd love to get a Grammy. That would be great too. But I think the biggest thing is being able to travel and meet completely new fans and, or have people become my fans that don't even know some of the songs I sing or
Totally.
don't know what I say. So stuff like that I think would just be amazing to, because the thing is, at the end of the day, music it's such a rare thing. It's it's not tangible. You could say a CD or vinyl or whatever it is, but it's the feeling of it
Yeah.
is what brings everybody together. And I'm really, really big on that.
Universal language.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
universal language. So I
Food,
feel
music, the whole deal.
Exactly.
It crosses so many boundaries.
yeah.
It's funny. We actually just did my first ever music festival a couple weeks ago. Actually, in Kentucky, we went to the Railbird Festival.
Oh, nice.
And Noah Khan was the first night headliner, and the Chris Stapleton was the second night headliner.
Awesome.
And I've been to big venues. I've seen concerts at MetLife, and I've seen concerts at Prudential or whatever. But
Yeah.
having everyone on this racetrack infield was insane.
Awesome.
There's 40, 50,000 people out there.
Side note: how does Chris Stapleton not have his own Tennessee whiskey? How does he not have his own?
Oh, that's
whiskey
actually
brand?
a really good
What is that?
point. How's Zach Brown has wine?
Yeah.
who would
And what?
even
That's
think?
true.
Betty's booze. What is this? Is
No,
somebody,
don't
right?
don't promote the
Oh,
Yeah, no
never
free
mind.
ads. No free ads.
no free ads.
Yeah. But shout out Asbury Park Brewery. just
That we can
because,
do.
Yeah, I like this beer. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, the Sea Dragon's great.
Yeah. All right. So this episode has been awesome. And I really appreciate you guys having me down, having me in the home, into your space and all that, and for opening Jersey Fest, of course. And I'm obviously excited to kind of see like what else we can do kind of down the road.
Jersey Fest at Madison Square Garden, Natalie Farrell headlines.
You know what's so funny? When not Madison Square Garden, because it's Jersey Fest and that's New York City.
Yes, exactly.
But we're at Railbird and it's like the inside of like a. Let's keep it down over there.
Cats are. You got to chill out, cat. No, don't let the cat. Oh my god.
We're like I'm looking at all these stages on like this racetrack infield. I'm like, we have racetracks in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like I can do this. So.
Well, there's Freehold Raceway, right?
Raceway Park. There's the Monmouth racetrack.
Yes,
there's
right.
Meadowlands. There's Far Hills.
I like where you're going with this.
There's so many places to do it. And
yeah.
I'm always having all these different ideas.
I'm so sorry our cats are vocal.
That's okay. Most likely they can't hear it, but we'll edit the cat down. We'll just turn Mike's or Lou's mic off.
We don't.
You gotta turn the cat up.
We'll pretend we don't
Yeah.
have cats. It is what it is. I love your idea though. I think that's a
you.
really, really cool idea, and it's something we don't get to see that often either.
Yeah.
So hell yeah.
Yeah, sure. We'll add that to the hopper of ideas. And Chrissy always makes fun of me. She's like, I just hear all these ideas and none of them ever come to fruition. And I'm like,
it takes
Jersey
time.
Fest, boom.
Done deal. Yeah, sometimes it's
Radio
like you
Garden State, coming soon.
You don't see the results right away, but when they pop out of nowhere like that, it's like, aha. Like,
it's
okay,
like
what's
the
next?
creative brain. It's like, like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And once I actually get myself like onto a track and start going that way,
yes,
and actually start, putting the things together to make it happen, it comes out really cool.
You have to put it into the universe, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on manifestation. I mean, I can't.
100%.
Mantra is it's a thing,
right.
So.
And we literally talked about the universe before we started talking or doing this episode.
Yep.
My whole trajectory of life. But
absolutely.
So if people are listening to this and they've made it all the way through, and we'll put all these links. Yeah, thank you for listening. If we're gonna put all the links in the show notes so that people just go click them. But if there are places you want people to go, where would you like them to go to learn more about you guys and what you do and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could always check us out on main streaming platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, all that stuff under Natalie Farrell Music.
Farrell.
Yes, and you could always Instagram is probably like the go-to for shows and any upcoming things or just to kind of see a peek of my life. You could go to Natalie with 2 E's _Farrell, and we'll keep you posted. There's definitely stuff like I said like on the way. It's just in the works right now. So
great.
And I'm at Lou Panico, LOUPANICO, but her accounts are way more attractive than mine.
That's why he had to plug himself, though,
Of course. We'll put them in the show notes. People can go click. You need a website.
I know. I keep thinking about that because it's like Linktree kind of blew up.
I know, Linktree.
And I was like, I got the Linktree. I just got lazy. That was my mess up.
It's always good to have a home.
Yeah,
but that's
you're right.
That's neither here nor there.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's a conversation for another day.
Wait, you're in our home right now.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
This is home base. No,
this is home base. I like this home base. So we'll put the links in the show notes so people can go click them. Again, thank you for doing this with us today and having me down again. We'll also put greenswithgardenState.com, which is the website for the show and the hub for all the things that we do with the podcast and some other stuff that we're working on right now. So go check that out because we're crushing it with episodes this year. Again, thank you. This has been the Greens with Garden State podcast powered by the New Jersey Lottery.
Thank you, Lottery.
I'm Mike Ham. We were here with Lou Panico and Natalie Farrell. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.